And this U.S. president decision to impose a sea blockade. We have from Washington, Ms. Gina Winstanley, Distinguished Fellow at the Atlantic Council. Welcome, Ms. Winstanley. And also we have from Cairo, Dr. Ahmed Al-Shahad, Political Science Professor at the university. So welcome, Dr. Ahmed. Let me start first by Ms. Winstanley. First, from Washington, how do you assess the decision of imposing a sea blockade in the Strait of Hormuz strategically and also legally as well?
Thank you so much for having me. Well, it is a move that could be positive from the U.S. perspective. There are pros and cons because it does have challenges. On the pro side, if it's successful, it is going to provide a measure of relief for our Gulf allies while hitting Iran specifically. It will help those who depend on oil from the region as well, although not those who get their oil from Iran. It doesn't necessarily require active strikes on Iran. It's a passive move, and that can help build international support for this U.S. position. It also, by focusing on freedom of navigation, does build international support because the entire world supports that other than Iran at this time. And it may help build support domestically for the president's position. But the cons are out there and the United States knows them. This is an act of war as well. And coming while the ceasefire is in the midst once again shows the United States pushing both in June when we were negotiating, in February when we were negotiating, now with the ceasefire, that the president doesn't have patience to leave that time. It won't immediately stabilize the markets, which is a great challenge for President Trump, may drive prices even higher, and that is going to cost him domestically and politically. It threatens not just the Iranian leadership, but civilians as well. And this could cost the president support for this. So this is something that he's got to really look at. And of course, technically, it's extremely challenging as marking which tankers are which ports they go to. They have the ability to obscure exactly where they are and who they are. And so this is going to take a huge effort from the U.S. Navy. Now, the president said others would help us, but he was not able, or he did not provide what other countries would be helping the United States in this task. So this is definitely a double-edged sword. There are pros and cons to this, but it does show that the United States continues to believe that the Iranians must agree to our positions on the nuclear file and the other things that were requested during the negotiations.
Allow me, Ms. Winstanley, to pass what you said to Dr. Ahmed Al-Shahad, who is now with us in this debate. Dr. Ahmed, to what extent do you agree with Ms. Winstanley, especially that she talked about the pros and cons? And when it comes to the pros, it comes with the cost of this war, but there are also efforts that should be exerted by the U.S. Navy. So to what extent do you think that this might actually be considered as an act of war? Good morning to you and to your guest. I partly agree with Ms. Winstanley as it comes to what's happening is a conflict and that it is also an act of escalation. The idea of a blockade is a continuation of the war, of the goals of the war, especially when it comes to targeting the infrastructure in Iran, in addition to a blockade later in one of the most important sources of the global economy, which is oil, and to limit any movement of the ships or the tankers that come from Iran. So this is basically a main idea. But I think that the blockade cannot be done this smoothly because there's actually this blockade shows that there is basically the war might continue for a longer time because there's the issue of mines and also there are information that are saying that many of the biggest countries of the world, they have basically some anti-C minors, so such as France and other countries. And this is why to impose this blockade will actually be faced with many risks by Iranian side, because Iran, they have a presence in many islands, they are controlling them, and the countries that have these islands basically can be seen as, or can see this as a risk because they are inside this place. So this also can show that the mines that are present there, and we are talking about the mines, they are present in the depth of the sea, and this is basically a threat because they cannot be easily controlled, because any ship, they have a certain footprint or fingerprint, and basically they can be dealt with this in a way that they cannot basically differentiate between a friend or an enemy when it comes to the ship and when they want to attack these mines. So these are things that are complicated and that cannot be treated smoothly when it comes to this blockade. So this is why the determination of the sea blockade can actually be accompanied with also securing these islands. And I think that the blockade is a beginning of a naval or a maritime war that will impose also a ground operation on the islands to protect the U.S. forces from any risks that might come, especially for the reasons that I said. And also at the same time, at the time of escalation, there will be another escalation, especially when it comes to intensifying the airstrikes on Iran, and also renewing the airstrikes in order to intensify basically these airstrikes and to try to disrupt what Iran might do in the sea. So this actually will, at the end of the day, lead to disrupt the movement in the sea, targeting any ships that might enter Bandar Abbas or other Iranian ports. And also Iran, they have the capability now to basically any tanker or any ship that will be approaching the path, it will be targeted by Iran. So I think there will be economic consequences. And also there's an important point, which is when it comes to the British company, which is basically responsible, according to the international protocols, to securing the ships and their passage through the strait. So basically, these will be increased, especially when the United States imposes, or even Iran imposes this. So there will be more money or more costs that will be imposed on these ships. And there's also an operational level when it comes to this U.S. Navy, because there will be also some ships by the U.S., which means that now when it comes to the frigates that are present there, there will be having basically an alarm or a sonar that will be actually